Wow, guys, welcome back to another Crazy Stories episode. This is episode number 2 of my Crazy Stories series. And unfortunately, I have a feeling that this might be like a weekly or bi-weekly series because there are so many crazy stories that people have been sending me. It almost feels like every single day when I wake up, I have a new DM, a new email, or a new story submission of somebody sharing with me some terrible news, whether it's the Botox outbreak that just happened, counterfeit Ozempic shots, and of course, these fake injectors impersonating registered nurses that are offering things like Botox and lip filler. So in today's episode, I'm going to be talking about a couple of those stories that were sent to me since my last filming of Crazy Stories episode 1. Before I get started with today's subject matter, I just want to again highlight the obvious that I am not a medical professional. Okay, I am just a girl with a platform sharing these stories, and part of my mission and my goal is to collect these stories and place them on a platform where we can not only keep them alive, but hopefully use this information to, again, push for legislation, which is the end goal. There needs to be better regulation for these med spas and for the cosmetics industry all around. All right, so I got my handy dandy iPad and I'm gonna just run through the list. I kind of want to rapid fire these because I have so many. Okay, so first, we are gonna talk about Ozempic and Mycobacterium. I was already worried whenever this Ozempic hype started happening because I just knew some counterfeit Ozempic was going to get sold out there by some greedy individual who thinks that they can make money off of the fact that there's an Ozempic shortage out there. And also, again, Ozempic is for people with diabetes. All right, let's dive into this. We have New York Post, wannabe TikTok influencer sold Ozempic, tainted weight loss drugs that left at least one dieter covered in gross lesions. Those gross lesions are Mycobacterium. Thanks, New York Post, for calling them gross. They are pretty gross. So long story short, this woman, Isis Navarro Reyes, was arrested for selling popular weight loss drugs on TikTok. Mind you, this is not the first story nor the last of people selling Ozempic on social media platforms or you taking a telehealth call. You have no idea what's actually in the solution that is being given to you, but all of the branding looks the same. We have also speculated with the fact that in my specific case, that it was also a counterfeit product as well, because again, the people that did this to me ordered my product off of Alibaba. So anyways, Isis Navarro Reyes, she has a TikTok where she's talking about mesotherapy. Mesotherapy is essentially injecting something into the body that burns fat or that helps dissolve fat. So things like Kybella, the non-FDA approved versions of deoxycholic acid such as Lipolab's PPC, all of those are unsafe to use. And by the way, Kybella is only approved to be used for the double chin. So if anyone is pushing you or suggesting for Kybella to be used in any area of the body, big red flag. Okay, now that that's out of the way, this woman is talking about how to use Ozempic. She's selling counterfeit Ozempic on TikTok. And surprisingly, she was actually arrested. I don't, again, understand why the people that did this to me have not been arrested. But anyways, the key part of this story is that Reyes admitted to selling Ozempic that she got from El Salvador. She admitted to buying Mesofrance on Facebook and said she stopped selling it because she knew that it was illegal. So now she faces up to 25 years in prison if convicted on all 6 counts. I'm guessing 6 counts are 6 different victims. What happened to the specific victim of Reyes who received Mycobacterium from the injections? She had injected herself 28 different times throughout her body, and so now she has Mycobacterium abscessus, which is the same strain of Mycobacterium that I have and one of the most aggressive and multi-drug resistant strains out there. This poor woman not only has now several lesions, about 28 lesions throughout her body. She's going to be on treatment with a PICC line through her chest. She's going to be in the hospital for a couple more months, and she's going to have to basically undergo the same exact thing that I've had to undergo. I feel so sorry for the woman who is now fighting Mycobacterium. Greed is a hell of a drug. It's absolutely ridiculous. I cannot put into words how difficult of a thing it is to fight a disease like this. My heart goes out to her. Let's move on. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration warned patients of fake Ozempic that has been circulating through wholesalers, retail pharmacies, and healthcare practitioners. The federal agency said it has seized thousands of units of counterfeit Ozempic and advised patients to check the product they received and throw it away if it's labeled with the lot number NAR 0074, and some counterfeit products still may be available for purchase. That is insane. Are they tracking down the person who is in charge of this counterfeit Ozempic outbreak? Are they going to prison? Like, what's happening behind the scenes? Like, by the way, guys, Ozempic has not even been approved as a weight loss solution. So that is all for the Ozempic stories, and I just want to end it at this. The fact that you could be getting it from a doctor and could still be receiving a unsterile faux Ozempic is so scary and ridiculous. All right, next. There's a really sad story. Trial is underway for a Dallas doctor accused of tampering with IV bags, causing death and cardiac emergencies. Okay, so this one is actually crazy because I am from Dallas and I know several people who know this doctor and this doctor's children. I was told that, this doctor's children are facing extreme bullying right now in school, and it's really difficult for them to find out that their father committed a crime like this. I'm going to explain this story in the simplest ways as possible. There's IV bags that they're full of saline. They get put away in sterile refrigerators before surgery. And what he was doing was going in and injecting it basically with poison. From my understanding on the research that I have read, is this doctor or Dr. Reynaldo Ortiz would literally be in the room watching these people face death because of the IV bags that he himself poisoned. He was doing this several times up until a coworker of his was feeling sick one day and decided to go home and self-administer herself an IV bag. Unfortunately, she took home one of the IV bags that he had poisoned and placed into that refrigerator, and she died in her own home because of cardiac complications. Then another situation happened of a young boy. I believe he was 19 years old. He was having a nose job, septum correction, low risk surgery. He just was having issues breathing because of a sport accident, I believe. And, he's in his surgery. I think he even died, or his heart stopped for a couple of seconds. And in that moment, the surgeon literally saved his life by saying, change the IV bag. I think it's the IV bag causing these complications. And they changed the IV bag and they were able to, bring him back to life, re-regulate his heart rate. And then because of that, he was then able to accuse Dr. Reynaldo of poisoning these IV bags, in which they were able to go find footage of him tampering with these IV bags in the hospital. So this actually happened in 2022. Here we are in 2024. Again, these lawsuits take time. I filed my personal lawsuit in 2021, and I'm having my first hearing in 20 days, so 2024. So it's been 3 years. The legal system just moves really, really slowly with these things, but he was found on all counts guilty and is going to be facing life in prison. It's so sad. This article with NBC does talk about his coworker, a fellow anesthesiologist who died because of his tampering with the IV bags. Melanie Casper, 55 years old, died after prosecutors said she took an IV bag home from the facility. Casper, who intended to rehydrate after a brief illness, began screaming for her husband, who witnessed her clutching her chest and collapsing at their East Dallas home. Her death was initially believed to have been a heart attack, but toxicology results later revealed that she had toxic levels of bupivacaine. Ortiz's court-appointed public defender attorney, John Nicholson, was proud to represent Ortiz and were both eager for his day in court. The article also talks about how the 19-year-old boy who was having the nose job was the case that really led them to discover that the IV bags were tampered with, because they looked more closely to the IV bag and realized it had puncture marks. And then they took it in for testing, and it did reveal that there were additional drugs that did not belong inside of that bag. My biggest question is, I want to understand why a doctor, you go through so many years of schooling, you have such a high barrier of entry to become, which is, someone literally like a medical hero. Like, You have the power in your hands to literally save lives, and you use it instead to kill people. I don't understand the motive here. Like, are you possessed? Like, what is going on? And I have tried to Google and see if there was any description of him admitting why he did it or pleading guilty. He didn't. He pleaded not guilty. All I could find was this article where it finally says that the government is trying to prove why Ortiz committed the crimes, which was because he was experiencing professional and financial troubles, owing hundreds of thousands of dollars in federal income tax. Ortiz had been a licensed anesthesiologist in Texas since 1991, and he had a history of disciplinary action prior to the 2022 allegations. I don't have anything else to say regarding this story. I think it's absolutely disgusting, and unfortunately, this isn't the first time that we have discovered that a doctor is corrupt and using his power for evil. Okay, next I'm going to be talking about the Botox botulism reports. April 19th, 2024, the New York City Health Department is warning New Yorkers about reports of botulism-like illness following botulinum toxin injections, aka Botox, Daxxify, Dysport, etc. Several cases have been reported elsewhere in the U.S., which includes California, Colorado, Florida, Illinois, Kentucky, Nebraska, New Jersey, New York City, Tennessee, Texas, and Washington. It's like it's not safe to do anything anymore. It's like I can't even go get a little Botox in the face. I've never personally had Botox. I would be down to try it, but I can't do anything because I'm on medications. I know that a lot of us saw these alerts on Instagram and social media. Personally, I didn't know what botulism was, so I do have this piece here where it says, the symptoms began days to weeks after the procedure and included double vision, drooping eyelids, dry mouth, difficulty swallowing, hoarseness of the voice, shortness of breath, difficulty raising arms, and more. All 3 patients went to emergency departments and 2 were hospitalized, including 1 person admitted into the intensive care unit. That's insane. Imagine going to the ICU because you simply wanted Botox. And again, we see these articles, right? We see these warnings, okay, and that's great. But where's the stories on what happened to the injector who was doing it? How did the people get this Botox? Why is there this counterfeit Botox outbreak? Is anyone going to be held responsible? Just an idea. If there's a Botox party that you're invited to, probably don't go. It doesn't sound safe, because nothing is safe anymore. It even says here that Health Commissioner Dr. Ashwin Vasan is saying that no one should be getting Botox or fillers from beauticians or estheticians, cosmetologists, or any of the like. And I will say it again, because I did not know this whenever I was a young girl, and there's many people of all ages that still do not know this, because you can brand anything and make it look really freaking good these days. If you are not an RN or a nurse practitioner, you should not be injecting anybody. I can easily understand why anyone would want to get a career in aesthetics or injecting Botox, filler, beauty, anything of the like. I get it. What I get so frustrated with is like these certification courses. If someone is like certified Botox injector, certified lip injector, run, because they're certified by who? There's no like board of certified lip injectors out there, like state or federally. It doesn't exist. Like there's just these made up certification programs and courses that are made by some nurse or some injector out there that is charging all this money to teach them how to do something. It's no different than going to a lash course and getting a lash certification. I really have to raise awareness on that, because there's a lot of people out there who want to be doing these procedures and they have no merit whatsoever to be doing these things. And I get it, because the barrier of entry is hard. Like, I wouldn't want to go to nursing school either, just so I could inject some lips. But sorry, injecting lips there's so much going on in the face. You have to go through the rite of passage. You have to go work in a hospital. You have to go put in those long hours and actually receive the proper education before you start injecting people's faces. This leads me to my next story about a girl on TikTok who actually is a nurse injector. She is talking about how this So Mink in Houston is injecting people's lips with a Hyaluron pen. She is also offering courses on how to inject people with Hyaluron pens. She brands herself as Houston #1 lip filler. One-on-one and group trainings linked below. Online course is now available. So you can even see on her page, this is ridiculous. She's accepting clients to pay her over $1,000 so she can teach people how to use a Hyaluron pen, which are highly dangerous. And I'm actually going to play a video on why Hyaluron pens are so dangerous. They should be illegal. We should be able to call the police and have people who use Hyaluron pens arrested, in my opinion. But anyways, I'm going to play this video from Dr. Ricky Brown, who I really respect and appreciate. It's horrible.
So this is called a Hyaluron pen, and it is extremely dangerous. It power injects the filler deep into the tissue with total disregard for vasculature or placing the filler where it belongs. You want to have an experienced injector using a needle, placing the filler in a safe manner to give a smooth, beautiful result.
That was a quick and efficient video, and it just easily highlights that with a Hyaluron pen, you have absolutely no control where the substance is going, let alone who knows what So Mink is actually injecting in these girls' lips. If this woman has to use a Hyaluron pen, which you can get off Amazon, like anyone can get a Hyaluron pen. My question is, because she's clearly not working under a medical director, where would she be getting Juvederm? What is she injecting into these people's lips? So I'm going to show you guys what a couple of the victims of So Mink's lips ended up looking like. Here we go. And this comment says, horrible. It's wild that people can be comfortable doing this to people. There's so many veins and arteries and things in your face. It's just insane to me that some people don't care about injuring others. Again, greed is a hell of a drug. And a lot of people in the cosmetic space, unfortunately, are so consumed within themselves and their own vanity and greed that they do not care if they are harming other people as long as they are getting paid. Here's another photo of So Mink celebrating her first Hyaluron pen training in Dallas. If we had laws that properly regulated this, maybe we would be able to call the police and have them go and shut this event down because it's illegal. Why can we not contact someone and be like, hey, this girl So Mink is like holding Hyaluron pen training groups in Dallas and charging each of these girls who are not nurses money so that they can also spread out and ruin other people's faces. There's innocent consumers out there that go and see stuff like this and they're like, oh, she's certified, she's trained, it's okay, it's legit. It's not legit. And none of these women have malpractice insurance because they can't get malpractice insurance because they are not a medical practitioner. So that girl who's now in the hospital and who has been in the hospital for over 3 days now because her entire face is swollen, she tries to sue So Mink, nothing's gonna happen. That's not how lawsuits work. It's heartbreaking and it's wrong and something needs to be done about it. And here I have a video of us seeing how So Mink is injecting Hyaluron pen. I want to know what she's actually injecting into these people. Oh yeah, because that's really sanitary. One swipe of an alcohol pad is really sufficient sanitation for the lips. Like, these episodes always piss me off a little bit because I just don't understand how there's people out there doing this shit and they're not in jail. Takeaway, if you see anyone using a Hyaluron pen, I don't know, report their page. We don't have anyone else that we can report them to. Just don't use them. I just somehow hope that I can spread enough awareness on these issues so that innocent consumers do not land themselves in the hands of, honestly, criminals. These people are criminals. All right, 2 more stories. I have an anonymous story submission from someone who actually worked in a med spa. So I'm just going to read some snippets of her story submission. She says, I worked at an IV therapy clinic in Houston. The owner is just a business owner. He starts IVs on patients, pushes medication, doesn't document or chart anything he does. He even gives medical advice and protocols to patients. I have spent years to become a licensed medical professional, and I'm amazed that he does the same things as me and gets away with it. I've asked him over and over to provide me documentation that our medical director is allowing him to do all these things. I've asked our medical director to be more involved with supervision. However, that's not really possible when he works over 200 miles away. Here's the real kicker. He has used expired vitamins on patients and would get upset if I would refuse to use them on patients and throw them away instead. I wanted to quit and leave right away, but I knew he would withhold my money like he did with previous providers. And her boss also refused to give her a copy of the malpractice insurance that he claimed they had. She says, I never did anything unethical and did everything with honesty and integrity. I really hope a patient doesn't die because of him, basically impersonating a medical professional. I'm really thankful for this submission and for the courage that this person had to share her experience. And unfortunately, it's not the first submission like this. I have received a bunch of people who work in these IV drip spas and, faux med spa environments that submit stuff like this all the time, where they don't have a medical director that works on site. They have an investor who is operating and, practicing medicine, even though they're simply just a person on site with no medical background at all whatsoever. And that there's actually no proof of them having medical malpractice insurance. Because again, if you don't have medical malpractice insurance and someone tries to sue you, you get off scotch-free. Anyways, it's really heartbreaking. And just so you know, I did follow up with this person, and she has since found her a new job at a legitimate med spa where she is much happier, and they actually appropriately practice on their patients. Lastly, we have one more Mycobacterium story. This is also an anonymous submission that was sent to me via the form that I have in my description. She goes, hey girl, here is my story of how I got Mycobacterium infection from plastic surgery, BBL to be exact. On December 27th of 2023, that's super recent, I went in to get fat removed from my stomach and back and transferred into my butt. About a month later, end of January, I started to get little red bumps in my butt, but didn't think much of it because I thought it was just ingrown hairs since I had to completely shave prior to surgery. About 2 more weeks went by and they were getting bigger and felt hot. This is one of the first symptoms that I had as well with Mycobacterium. It feels like your skin is burning alive from the inside out. So she says they began to get bigger and felt hot. I went in and was told that it was shingles and was given medication. My gut was telling me there was no way this was shingles, so I went to urgent care 2 days later to get a second opinion. Urgent care said that this is not shingles. It in fact looks like ingrown hairs and sent me home. It's unbelievable. I went through testing for an entire month before I had a doctor smart enough to test for Mycobacterium. Anyways, going back to the story. I went back to the surgeon who put me on 2 medications because now it looked like an infection. He had cut them open for all the pus to come out so they could drain, and he got me to send the pus in for testing, and I was referred over to an infectious disease doctor. Another 2 weeks go by, and the infectious disease doctor told me that the test came back and I have a rare infection called Mycobacterium, and she doesn't know how to treat it because it's so rare and nothing really works for it. That is insane. If you are an infectious disease doctor telling someone that you don't know how to treat Mycobacterium, I'm not surprised. So that doctor sends me to another infectious disease specialist. Another 2 weeks go by and I've called again and the receptionist doesn't know anything and tells me that the doctor is on vacation. Now I have big red bumps on my thigh even, and it is incredibly painful. I call the new doctor and they tell me that they can't give me an appointment without a referral. I told my husband I have to go to the emergency room tomorrow morning because I am in so much pain. I went to the ER the next morning and was able to talk to the infectious disease team who were aware of my situation. She told me that I would have to get a PICC line, and here I am in the hospital waiting for my PICC to get installed. This has already taken such a toll on me. I can't even explain how much it has mentally drained me, but I am trying to stay strong for my baby girls who are waiting for me at home. That is so sad. I feel very sorry for all the mothers who have given birth and they just wanted a mommy makeover. They just wanted a tummy tuck, some lipo, a BBL. I don't think that there's anything wrong with wanting to look good and feminine and sexy after giving birth. It is heartbreaking to me that there are several mothers out there in the exact same shoes that are now fighting infections and complications after surgery. I'm really thankful that this person submitted their story. But to be honest, this person is going to be fighting for at least the next 2 years. The liposuction Mycobacterium cases are always so tricky because the way the cannulas literally go in through the tissue, through in the body, you have entire channels of tissue that was touched by this bacteria that spreads and spreads and spreads. She's going to have multiple surgeries. She's going to have to be on IV antibiotics every day for an extended period of time. You know, being a mom and a wife is already hard enough as it is. I wish her the best. God, I didn't realize how sad it was to do this crazy stories series. I think last time I was covering a broad timeline of crazy stories that I had researched and looked up, but this one makes me, I think, significantly more sad because, let alone in this one episode, I discuss 2 new cases of Mycobacterium, the Ozempic and the BBL girl. And I just know how hard it is to fight Mycobacterium. I'm still fighting. I still have at least another year or 2 left, my doctor says. So I don't have any more words, guys. I'm so sorry. This was a hard episode, so thank you so much, guys, for getting through it with me. If you have made it this far into the episode, I really appreciate you. If you do have a story submission that you would like to post, whether it's publicly or anonymously, you can click the description. There's a link below where you can submit that, and I will be able to personally read it. Otherwise, you can email me your story if that's easier for you to do. I'll read it regardless. That is all for today's episode. I will see you guys next time. I promise my next episode is going to be on a more motivational and inspirational note. That was emotionally draining. Emotional damage. All right, peace out, guys.